Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Romine, and this is the Houston Grass Podcast. We are in late October here, a couple of days left till Halloween, and then we're off to Thanksgiving month here. And you would not know it by the weather outside. It hadn't rained in about 6 weeks. At least most of Texas and certainly the Gulf Coast here are in some kind of a drought, whether it's just abnormally dry or first or second stage of drought. There's certainly places in central Texas that are doing worse right now, but it's probably close to 90 outside today. And so we're about to talk about all of these things, that whether we're talking about fertilization or water or mowing. I'll kind of make note of what we should be doing this time of year and the problems that we should be seeing versus what's actually out there, because it has been affected by the weather fairly dramatically. So we'll kind of walk through that. And just like most of these, we're talking about how we should be changing up our watering schedules and what fertilizer we should be doing, and how long or short we should be mowing everything, and how frequently we should be mowing everything for this time of year. And like I said, there's probably going to be some adjustments because of the because it is warmer and drier than normal. It is still an important part of the year. This is a great time of year to plant grass. It's a great time of year to be taking care of grass because of those more moderate temperatures. When we're in the throes of summer, it is just tougher to keep anything alive, grass included. So, especially if we're talking about planting new grass. So, fall is definitely a time we don't quit doing anything. We're still watering. We're still the main thing that we need to be doing right now and thinking about is getting fertilization done before the end of the month. The Nitro-Phos Fall Special is what needs to be going out before sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks for sure. So need to do that. Numbers on the bag indicate there is not a lot of nitrogen in this fertilizer. We're not trying to green the grass up right now. We're trying to develop a strong plant that's in good shape before it goes into dormancy, so that it'll come out good and strong and healthy in the springtime. That's the thinking behind the fertilization in the fall here. We're not looking for a big green up. That's not good for the plant. So on the Nitro-Phos Fall Special fertilizer, this is the time of year to do it. It would be best to get it done before mid-November. It's usually like October through mid-November, but as warm as it is, get it down before the end of November, get it good and watered in, put your inch of water on it as soon as you put it out. The rate you'd see if you read on the bag is 6 to 7 pounds per 1,000 square feet. I think a 40-pound bag does like 5 or 6,000 square feet is what one 40-pound bag will do. You'll also notice that the number makeup, which is the NPK, the three numbers that are on all fertilizer bags, is 18, or is 8, not 18. 8, 12, 16. That first number is nitrogen, and you'll notice that 8 is really a low number, and that is on purpose, just because, like we talked about a minute ago, we're not trying to green the grass up. We're just trying to give it a little boost of some key ingredients before we go into dormancy. That's the thinking behind the fertilization this time of year. Also, weed prevention this time of year. I know we're supposed to put down the Nitro-Phos barricade a few times during the year, and this is one of them. You do not want to put this on grass that's been planted in the last 12 months, but any established lawns, you want to go ahead and put that out now. And the barricade, it's just like the name says, it creates a defense layer over the soil to keep any weed seeds that may be blowing around out there in Mother Nature, to keep them from germinating. So if you stay on that program and you do this the few times a year that it says to do it, this being one of them, it'll keep the winter grass seeds from germinating and keep them out of the yard. And we'll do it again in the spring. Like I said, there's a few times a year that we do that are key, and it is important to stay on that schedule. But again, do not put it on grass that's been planted in the last 12 months, because it does form that barrier over the top of the soil, and it won't let new grass attach. It won't let it put its roots down into that soil as well as it should. So that's the reason we don't want to do that. So pre-emergent, the effectiveness of those things, it's not a guarantee against all weeds. It's not like you're gonna I shouldn't have put it out. I wasted my time and money because a few weeds came up in my yard after I applied this stuff. It's not a catch-all. It keeps a lot of the weed seeds from germinating, but there are certainly weeds out there that it doesn't fight well against. So do the program, but know that it's not going to be 100% the best. And that, frankly, the best way to keep weeds out of your yard is to keep a yard that's getting plenty of sunshine, water when it's supposed to, and getting mowed at least weekly. That's going to create a healthy turf. And because that grass is so tightly interwoven and thick, that weed seeds can't penetrate through to the dirt and germinate. So if you can do those two things, you'll be well ahead of the weed game. Another thing we want to talk about for this time of year is mowing. Normally, the grass, I have certainly noticed that after 7 days before we get ready to mow at my house and the office, the grass is definitely not growing near as much in a week as it was even a month ago. It is because the cooler nights and the shorter days, it slows it down, which is what it's supposed to do this time of year. You still need to be mowing once a week. We're probably not long for that, sometime in December, depending on if this warm weather persists or not. But you could probably start going to every other week once that grass goes dormant. And usually that is mid to late December or so. So right now we're still at once a week. Keep that mowing height, probably depending on how much you want to baby it, 3.5 to 4 inches. The temperatures have moderated a little bit, so you can bring that mowing height down a little bit. Certainly, that's what the time of year I would tell you is, but the fact that it is pretty dry and warm, you keep that mowing height a little bit taller, and it allows you to retain some of that moisture, and it's just less stressful on the plant when you do mow it, because those are things to consider when it's still warm and dry out there. And that takes us right into our next thing, watering here. Fall watering, normally we're starting to talk about trying to keep brown patch out, so trying to pull that water back a little bit. But my irrigation, I'm doing the exact same thing that I was in July and August right now. I'm still watering 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the minutes per zone, depend on the type of head we're talking about here, but we're still watering 2 to 3 times a week to get that 1 inch of water out. We're having the shorter days, and we're not in the high 90s and hundreds, but it's still warm, and we are certainly needing to supplemental irrigation is a must right now. So that is just Texas, I suppose. We should be getting to back off on the water bill a little bit, but unfortunately we're not getting much help from Mother Nature. So keep the water going. You don't want to overdo it, because the next thing we're going to talk about here is brown patch. Brown patch is a fact of life this time of year, and that's the big yellow circles that we get with the bright yellow edges. If you overwater, you're definitely going to see some of that. Just be mindful of overwatering. It is a possibility, certainly this time of year. If you do have brown patch, the best thing to do is treat with the Heritage G that we sell here. Is a good fungicide. It's a granular you put out just like fertilizer. It doesn't take a whole lot. The best thing to do is put that out preventatively and keep the brown patch from ever showing up in the first place. If it does show up and you start to see the brown circles, get that out there immediately, and it will stop those yellow circles from growing. And the way you'll know that your application was effective is that the bright yellow edges will turn off to kind of brown strawish looking. The bright yellow indicates that it is an active fungus. So the drawback is that you've got to look at the ugly scars that it creates until the grass goes dormant. And also, it takes twice as much of this material that it's kind of expensive to stop it, as opposed to preventing it, which, like I said, you can only need half of it. So those are kind of the main issues that I can think about right now. Don't stop just because it's fall. We're not spring and summer and the grass isn't bright green. Don't stop your regimen of care, fertilization, water, mowing, and whatnot. Do go ahead and get that fall special fertilizer out there, and get it all good and watered in, and stay on top of the watering uh, for sure. And please give us a call if you've got any questions. We sell grass year round, and we're always here. If we take the week of Thanksgiving and the week between Christmas and New Year's off, other than that, we are here. And in Texas, you can plant grass year round with no issue. So give us a call if you've got any questions. And thanks again for listening.